Let's imagine a scenario where wealth and humility meet in an unexpected way. In a city where ostentation and simplicity coexist, a millionaire mocked his own brother for his modest life and simple clothes. Leonardo, the millionaire, saw nothing but failure in the path of Gustavo, his brother, who struggled to survive. Now get ready to discover the story that no one expected. In just 1 year, Gustavo's life takes such a surprising turn that it leaves everyone speechless. What seemed like just a simple taunt turns into a journey of transformation and overcoming. How did Gustavo, with determination and courage, transform his life and defy all expectations? Follow this exciting story and discover how 1 year can change everything, showing that even in adversity, there is a light at the end of the tunnel. Don't miss the chance to be inspired and see how the impossible can become possible. Sign up now and don't miss the story that will inspire and surprise you. In the heart of a vibrant and bustling city, where tall buildings touch the sky and the streets are always full of hurried people, live two brothers whose lives could not have been more different. Leonardo and Gustavo were inseparable in childhood, sharing dreams and laughter, but fate had taken distinct paths for each of them. Leonardo, the older of the two, had achieved brilliant success in the business world. His name was known in all financial circles, and he was the epitome of wealth and power. His days were filled with high-level meetings and million-dollar negotiations. He lived in an imposing mansion with a panoramic view of the city that seemed endless. His luxury car, shining under the sun, was an extension of his successful identity. Leonardo had everything that money could buy: designer clothes, expensive watches, and a busy social life, surrounded by influential people. In contrast, Gustavo, his younger brother, lived a very different reality. While Leonardo enjoyed the luxuries of life, Gustavo struggled to survive. His home was a small apartment in a modest neighborhood, where the thin walls couldn't hide the noise of the street. Gustavo had a humble job in a local store, where he earned just enough to cover his basic needs. His clothes were simple and well-worn, and the car he drove was an old model that had seen better days. Every day for Gustavo was a battle to make it to the end of the month, and he barely had time to dream of anything beyond daily survival. The contrast between the brothers was visible in every detail of their lives. While Leonardo strolled in his elegant silk suit and shiny shoes, Gustavo wore clothes that were a bit worn but still full of dignity. Leonardo attended luxurious events and sophisticated dinners, surrounded by high-level people, while Gustavo spent most of his time working hard and taking care of daily responsibilities, with little time for himself. The difference between them was not only material but also emotional. Leonardo, with his success and financial security, had an almost unshakable confidence. He saw no need to worry about everyday problems and often felt superior to those in difficult situations, including his own brother. Gustavo, on the other hand, carried the burden of difficulties and constantly struggled to keep hope alive despite adversity. It was in this scenario of disparity that fate was preparing to unleash a series of events that would transform the brothers' lives in ways no one could predict. What seemed like an irreconcilable difference between a man who had everything and another who fought to have enough was about to turn into a story of overcoming, redemption, and transformation. It was a sunny afternoon in the city, and the atmosphere was vibrant with the movement of people at a prestigious social event. The elegant ballroom was decorated with luxurious velvet curtains and sparkling chandeliers that looked like stars descending from the sky. The red carpet leading to the main entrance was a testament to the high status of the guests. At the center of it all was Leonardo, the man of the night, with his haughty posture and custom-made suit that seemed to shine with its own light. Leonardo was at the peak of his success, and his confidence was evident in every gesture. He chatted with other important guests, laughing and gesturing with a naturalness that only someone with total mastery over their own fortune could have. His eyes were alert to everything happening around him, and his broad smile showed complete satisfaction. As the guests were settling in, something unexpected happened. Gustavo, his younger brother, was in the middle of the crowd, trying to remain discreet. He had received a last-minute invitation to the event, a goodwill gesture from a friend of Leonardo. Gustavo was dressed simply, a slightly wrinkled shirt and pants that had seen better days. His face was tense, and he moved slowly, trying not to draw attention to his condition. The idea of being in such a glamorous place was, for him, a mix of excitement and nervousness. Leonardo, always sharp in noticing anything that might disrupt the image of perfection around him, noticed Gustavo's presence. In a gesture that combined disdain and amusement, he approached a group of people and, with a loud and sarcastic laugh, made a comment that echoed through the hall. "Look who decided to show up!" exclaimed Leonardo, discreetly pointing to Gustavo. "It seems that even the humblest can try to mingle with the greats now." The group of guests, already inclined to admire Leonardo for his success and charisma, began to laugh. The laughter grew in volume and intensity, and the attention that should have been focused on the party was now directed at Gustavo. Curious looks and malicious whispers multiplied, and the joyful atmosphere of the event quickly turned into a scene of discomfort and shame for Gustavo. Gustavo tried to hide in the crowd, but the humiliation was palpable. Each laugh felt like a stab to his heart. He felt his face flush, and the desire to disappear became almost unbearable. Leonardo's words were not just a casual comment. They were a public mockery that struck not only his simple clothes but also his dignity and hopes. The situation worsened when Leonardo, with an audacity that seemed boundless, began to describe Gustavo's simplicity with exaggerated and cruel details. "I have always admired the courage of those who try to blend into a world that is not their own," Leonardo said, his voice laden with sarcasm. "Sure, the style is not the same, but the effort is admirable." The laughter of the people mingled with the music of the event, creating a cruel symphony that resonated in every corner of the hall. Gustavo felt a wave of sadness and helplessness, his tears almost escaping, but he struggled not to show weakness. The event, which was supposed to be a glimpse into a world to which he had never truly belonged, turned into a public nightmare. What Leonardo did not realize was that his mockery was not only exposing his brother's vulnerability, but also creating a ripple of empathy and indignation among some of the guests who witnessed the scene. While most were busy laughing, some were beginning to feel a growing discomfort with the cruel treatment. Thus, the episode unfolded with a mixture of laughter and embarrassment, creating an image that would be hard to erase from the memories of all who were present. Leonardo's act of humiliation not only left Gustavo devastated, but also marked the beginning of a journey that promised an unexpected and thrilling twist. After the public humiliation, Gustavo left the elegant hall with a heavy heart and tear-filled eyes. The scene at the event was like an open wound that seemed never-ending. Each step he took towards the exit was a monumental effort, as if shame and pain manifested in every movement of his body. The journey home was a parade of painful thoughts and bitter reflections. Gustavo was in absolute silence. His old car, an outdated model that was over a decade old, seemed even more worn out that night. The dim light from the headlights barely illuminated the road ahead, as if even the city was aware of his sadness. Upon arriving at his modest apartment, loneliness seemed to be the only company he had. The thin walls and the noise of traffic outside offered no solace, only a harsh reminder of the reality he faced every day. Gustavo sat on the sofa, a worn piece of furniture that had seen better days, and let his head fall into his hands. The echo of Leonardo's laughter still resonated in his mind, a cruel reminder of the scorn he had faced. He felt the pain in every part of his being. It was not just the humiliation that tormented him but the overwhelming sense of devaluation. It was as if every laugh and every scornful glance had extinguished a bit of the inner light he had always tried to keep burning. Gustavo had spent his life striving to improve, but that night felt like a cruel slap to his dignity and hope. Yet, despite the despair that consumed him, there was something inside Gustavo that did not completely surrender. Amidst the pain and sadness, a small spark of determination began to shine. He knew he could not give in to defeat. The sight of his brother laughing at his misery was a sharp reminder of what he did not want to be. A person who allowed circumstances to overcome him. That night, Gustavo did something he rarely did. He allowed himself to dream. Instead of sinking into discouragement, he began to make a mental list of everything he could do to transform his life. He knew the path would be arduous and that the road was full of obstacles, but the idea of changing his situation became a clear and concrete goal. Gustavo got up from the sofa and went to a small table in the kitchen, where he grabbed a notepad and a pen. With the dim kitchen light as his only witness, he began to write. His notes were simple but filled with fervent determination. "Find a new job," he wrote. "Learn a new skill. Save every penny possible. Each written word was a silent promise to himself, a declaration that he would not be defined by the humiliation he had endured. As the night progressed, Gustavo felt a mix of sadness and hope. The despair had not disappeared, but it was now being shaped into something more productive. He knew the path would be long and the difficulties many, but there was something in his determination that seemed unshakable. The pain of humiliation had turned into fuel for change. With the first rays of the morning sun, Gustavo began to make the changes he had promised himself. He enrolled in online courses, looked for job opportunities, and started saving every penny with a meticulousness he had never known before. His life was still far from easy, but each small victory, each advance toward his goal, was a reminder that he was on the right path. And so Gustavo's story, marked by pain and humiliation, began to transform into a journey of overcoming. The road would be difficult and filled with challenges, but the determination he found that night of sadness would become the key to a turnaround that no one could predict. After the night of deep reflection and determination, Gustavo woke up with a renewed sense of purpose. The sun was shining through the windows of his modest apartment, casting a soft light on the worn floor. The first thing he did was look at the list he had written the night before. With a deep sigh, he prepared to begin his transformation journey. The challenge Gustavo had decided to face was monumental. He knew that changing his life would not be an easy task, but he was determined to do whatever was necessary. With a strong coffee to energize himself, he sat in front of his old computer, a model that had seen better days but still worked. His first task was to find a new job. Gustavo spent hours reviewing his resume, updating his skills, and tailoring his cover letter. He searched for job openings on various employment websites, sending out applications and following up on each opportunity with hope and persistence. Every negative response he received did not discourage him. On the contrary, it pushed him to try even harder. While searching for work, Gustavo also decided to invest in himself. He enrolled in online courses that could enhance his skills and open new doors for his career. At night, after a long day at the job he still held, Gustavo spent hours studying and learning. He dedicated himself to each lesson with intense focus, knowing that every new skill acquired was one step closer to his goal. The hard work was not limited to the professional aspect. Gustavo also focused on improving his health and well-being. He began exercising regularly and preparing healthy meals at home, replacing the unhealthy eating habits he had developed over the years. Every drop of sweat and every balanced meal was a reminder that he was doing his best for himself. However, Gustavo's journey was far from smooth. He faced a series of unexpected obstacles. The washing machine broke, the old car needed constant repairs, and occasionally, he faced financial difficulties that made life even harder. There were nights when the frustration and exhaustion were almost unbearable. But even when things seemed to be falling apart around him, Gustavo kept hope alive. He went through tough times, but he always found the strength to keep going. Gustavo began to adopt a positive mindset, reminding himself of his goals and the importance of every step he took. He posted small reminders on his mirror and computer, words of encouragement like "don't give up," and "every challenge is an opportunity." Over time, Gustavo's efforts began to pay off. He received an offer for a new job, which not only offered a better salary, but also the chance to work in a more stimulating environment. He accepted the offer with enthusiasm and gratitude, knowing that it was the start of a new phase in his life. Each day in the new job was a new opportunity to showcase his skills and grow professionally. Moreover, his dedication to studying began to open unexpected doors. Gustavo received a promotion at work, and over time began to see a significant increase in his income. He was able to save and invest in improvements for his personal and professional life, as well as pay off some of the debts he had accumulated. Gustavo's transformation was a shining example of how determination and perseverance can change lives. He overcame challenges with courage and worked tirelessly to achieve his goals. His journey was marked by ups and downs, but every challenge faced brought him closer to a better future. Gustavo's constant effort and unwavering determination showed him and others that, despite adversity, it is possible to change one's destiny with hard work and hope. His story became an inspiration to everyone who knew his journey, proving that willpower can truly overcome any obstacle. Time passed, and over the course of 1 year, Gustavo's life began to transform in remarkable, though subtle, ways. The progress was not immediate, but each small victory contributed to a significant change in his life. In the first few months after his decision to change, Gustavo faced many challenges. He was determined to leave behind the shame and pain he had felt, but the path was filled with obstacles. The days were long and tiring, and the extra work he had taken on often extended into the early hours of the morning. His new job, though promising, required dedication and patience, and the responsibilities constantly increased. Despite the difficulties, Gustavo remained steadfast. He began to notice small signs of progress in his financial life. At first, they were just subtle changes. A paid-off bill, a smaller debt, and a sense that he was finally beginning to take control of his finances. Each passing month he managed to save a little more, and this gave him a sense of accomplishment and hope. Gustavo's work was not only physical, he also strove to excel in his field. He studied constantly and looked for ways to improve his skills. He attended advanced courses and read books on personal and professional development. His dedication began to be noticed by his superiors and colleagues, who started to see him as not just competent, but also full of promising potential. As the year progressed, Gustavo began to receive praise and recognition for his hard work. His colleagues noticed his work ethic and willingness to help others. Although he was reserved about his achievements, the results spoke for themselves. He was promoted and received a salary increase, which allowed him to improve his quality of life in a discreet manner, without ostentation. With the increase in income, Gustavo began to make small improvements in his personal life. He invested in renovating his apartment, replacing old furniture, and creating a more comfortable and welcoming environment. Although the changes were modest, they represented a significant achievement for him. Every new piece of furniture and every small improvement was a reflection of the effort and determination he had invested. Beyond material improvements, Gustavo also began to feel a difference in his health and well-being. The exercise routine and healthy diet he had adopted began to show positive results. He felt more energized and confident, which was reflected in his work and personal life. The transformation was not only external but internal as well. The respect that Gustavo began to earn was not merely superficial. He became an example of perseverance and dedication to those around him. His colleagues and friends admired his ability to face adversity and keep moving forward, even when things didn't seem easy. He started to be seen as someone who had overcome challenges and reinvented himself, which brought him a deep sense of satisfaction and fulfillment. Throughout the year, Gustavo maintained a low profile, avoiding flaunting his achievements. He preferred to act with humility and keep working hard. His reserved behavior made his victories even more remarkable, as they were earned with merit and without fanfare. Those who knew him well could see the difference in his life, but Gustavo never felt the need to showcase his accomplishments. Gustavo's journey throughout the year was marked by a series of challenges and discrete successes, but the transformation was profound. His determination and hard work not only improved his financial situation, but also gave him a new perspective on life. He became an example that, with perseverance and effort, it is possible to overcome adversity and achieve a better life, even when progress happens slowly and quietly. Gustavo's journey, marked by his determination and hard work, culminated in a surprising transformation. After 1 year of challenges and discrete victories, he began to experience a significant change in his life, reflecting the success he had achieved. Gustavo's great transformation was not just about material wealth, it was also about personal growth and how he embraced his new reality. When Gustavo received the news of his promotion, which came with a substantial salary increase, the emotion was palpable. The news marked the beginning of a new phase in his life. He had worked tirelessly to reach this point, and now he was finally reaping the rewards of his effort. His days of struggle and overcoming seemed to be giving way to an era of achievements and stability. The first significant visible change in his life was the new apartment. After months of living in a modest and functional space, Gustavo moved to a more spacious and elegant place. The new apartment was a reflection of his success, with modern furniture, sophisticated decor, and a stunning view of the city. But contrary to what one might imagine, Gustavo did not indulge in extravagant luxuries. His style was elegant and refined, but always maintained a touch of simplicity. He carefully chose each item, ensuring that his new home was not only a reflection of his achievement, but also of his refined personal taste. With the improvement in his financial condition, Gustavo also began to invest in experiences that previously seemed out of reach. He traveled to places he had always dreamed of visiting, exploring different cultures, and immersing himself in new adventures. Each trip was an opportunity to expand his horizons and enrich his life with new experiences. But even while enjoying these new adventures, he remained true to his roots, always returning to his work with the same dedication and humility that had led him to success. Gustavo also began to get involved in causes that were important to him. With financial success, he felt in a position to help those who were going through similar difficulties to those he had faced. He started making donations to charities and getting involved in community projects, supporting initiatives aimed at improving the lives of people in his community. For Gustavo, true wealth was not only in material possessions, but also in the positive impact he could have on others' lives. Gustavo's success also brought changes in his personal life. He found time to strengthen relationships he had neglected during his years of struggle. With his new stability, he was able to dedicate more time to family and friends, creating valuable memories and strengthening bonds. Family gatherings and celebrations with friends became moments of genuine joy, marking a positive contrast with the difficult times he had faced. Despite the changes in his life, Gustavo maintained a modest approach to his wealth. He continued to live simply, avoiding flaunting his fortune excessively. His friends and colleagues noticed that despite the success, he remained the same person they knew and admired. His approach was balanced. He knew how to appreciate the rewards of his hard work, but he also maintained a sense of humility and gratitude. Gustavo became a symbol of authentic success. He did not let himself be carried away by ostentation, but used his new position to grow as a person and help others. His story inspired those around him to believe that, with determination and hard work, it is possible to transform life and achieve dreams that once seemed unattainable. Gustavo's transformation was not just about money or possessions, but about how he evolved as an individual. He used his success as a platform to make a difference, maintaining his essence and continuing to value the things that truly matter. His journey was a brilliant example of how true wealth is reflected in the way one lives and shares their achievements with others. The sun was beginning to set when Gustavo received the unexpected invitation for a meeting with his brother Leonardo. It was a formal invitation, sent with calculated coldness, mentioning a lunch at an elegant restaurant in the city. For Gustavo, who had achieved remarkable success and maintained a low profile, the invitation seemed to symbolize a new phase in his life. He accepted, but the prevailing feeling was a mix of curiosity and apprehension. The restaurant where the meeting was set was one of the most sophisticated in the city, with exquisite decor and a stunning panoramic view. Upon entering, Gustavo was greeted with the usual courtesy of the staff, who led him to a reserved table. While waiting, he observed the scene around him. Elegant couples and groups of friends in lively conversations, all contributing to an atmosphere of sophistication and success. Finally, Leonardo arrived. He was dressed in an impeccable suit and carried himself with the confident posture of someone accustomed to being the center of attention. The expression on Leonardo's face was one of restrained surprise when his eyes met Gustavo's. The last time they saw each other, Gustavo was merely a man struggling to stay afloat. Now he seemed like a different man, with a glow of confidence and accomplishment that did not go unnoticed. Leonardo greeted Gustavo with a courteous smile, but there was tension in the air. They both sat down, and as the waiter brought the menu, the silence between them was almost palpable. What could have been a casual meeting was laden with subtext and unspoken emotions. The conversation began formally, with questions about Gustavo's work and life, but Leonardo couldn't hide his curiosity. He noticed Gustavo's new haircut, the sophisticated watch adorning his wrist, and the way he moved with quiet confidence. It was evident that the change was not just superficial. Gustavo, in turn, responded with deliberate calmness. He spoke about his experiences in a controlled manner, avoiding boasting about his achievements. But it was impossible not to notice the difference in his tone and the way he presented himself. He talked about his travels, the projects he was involved in, and the people he had met, all with a confidence that starkly contrasted with the image of insecurity and despair that his brother remembered. Leonardo tried to maintain his composure, but the discomfort was visible. He frequently glanced at the menu or the view from the window, while his mind processed Gustavo's transformation. The irony of seeing his brother, who was once the target of ridicule and scorn, now being someone admired and respected, was hard to swallow. He tried to understand how such a drastic change had occurred in such a short time. The tension increased when the conversation touched on the past. Leonardo made a casual remark about the difficulties Gustavo had faced, and Gustavo, with a calm and controlled tone, explained how those difficulties had shaped his character. Leonardo's comment seemed to be an attempt to downplay Gustavo's achievement, but instead, it served to highlight how deeply he had underestimated his brother's potential. During lunch, their words were carefully chosen. Leonardo tried to ask questions about business and investments, perhaps hoping to understand better how Gustavo had achieved his success. Gustavo responded with precision and clarity, maintaining a professional attitude. The conversation was polite, but there was a clear division between the two. Leonardo was uncomfortable, and Gustavo was determined to show that his transformation was legitimate and real. As the meeting came to an end, they both stood up and greeted each other cordially. Leonardo offered a forced smile and a hurried goodbye, as if he wanted to leave as quickly as possible. Gustavo, on the other hand, maintained his calm demeanor and a sincere smile. The lunch had been a moment of silent and revealing confrontation, where Leonardo had to face the reality of his past behavior and the impressive change in his brother. The exit from the restaurant was marked by a reflective air for both. Leonardo returned to his world of luxury and status, while Gustavo, with a sense of accomplishment and a touch of sadness, headed towards his next challenge. The reunion did not resolve all the issues between the brothers, but it served as a powerful reminder of how much life can change, and how much one can grow and overcome adversities, even when the past seems to be an insurmountable obstacle. The sun was setting, painting the sky with golden and orange hues as Leonardo and Gustavo met again. This time in a more intimate and informal setting, Gustavo's living room. Weeks had passed since the tense lunch at the restaurant, where the tension still lingered in the air, and Gustavo decided it was time to speak openly about his journey. The room was decorated with a mix of modernity and simplicity. The walls were adorned with a few discreet works of art, and a soft rug covered the polished wooden floor. The floor-to-ceiling windows allowed the soft afternoon light to illuminate the space, creating a welcoming atmosphere. Gustavo had invited Leonardo for tea, a simple gesture that seemed to carry significant weight. Leonardo arrived punctually, still carrying the aura of formality that always accompanied him. He entered the room and greeted Gustavo with a brief but sincere hug, showing a hint of curiosity about what was to come. Gustavo, with a welcoming smile and serene calmness, led him to the sofa, where they both sat down. The conversation began casually, with Gustavo asking about Leonardo's latest projects and the progress of his professional life. But soon, Gustavo changed the subject, directing the conversation to the path he had taken. His eyes gleamed with a mix of emotion and pride as he began to share details about his journey. "Leonardo," Gustavo began, his voice firm but full of feeling, "there is something I need to tell you. It's not just about what I've achieved, but about how much my life has changed since the last time we met." He paused, observing Leonardo's expression, which was now full of curiosity and a hint of apprehension. Gustavo began to describe his trajectory with touching honesty. "Do you remember that day at the restaurant? I was just beginning to see a small light at the end of the tunnel. But what I didn't tell you is how that light turned into a bright beacon that illuminated my entire path." He continued to explain how, with tireless effort and fierce dedication, he had achieved significant milestones. He spoke about sleepless nights, working on projects and ideas that once seemed impossible. He detailed moments of doubt and the small successes that, when added up, had turned into great achievements. Gustavo mentioned the financial challenges he had faced and how, over time, he began to see the fruits of his hard work. He shared stories of satisfied clients, successful investments, and how his life had become more stable and rewarding. Leonardo listened intently. The shock was visible on his face. Each word from Gustavo seemed like a confirmation of something he had initially doubted. The brother he had mocked, who had been the subject of his disdain, was now leading a life he could hardly imagine. Gustavo's transformation was not only physical but also emotional and spiritual, reflecting an evolution that Leonardo had thought unlikely. Gustavo also spoke about how he had maintained his humility along the way. He explained how he continued to invest in the well-being of his community, helping other people who were struggling as he had struggled. He described his contributions to causes that were important to him, and how fulfilled he felt seeing the positive impact he was making in others' lives. As Gustavo spoke, Leonardo began to feel overwhelmed. The man he had scorned, whose struggle he had ignored, was now a symbol of genuine achievement and success. Leonardo felt a mix of admiration and shame. Admiration for Gustavo's resilience and success, and shame for his own past behavior. The most touching moment of the revelation occurred when Gustavo, with a tone of sincerity, said, "I didn't just want to show you what I've achieved, but also to show you that, even when things seem impossible, there is always a way to change one's life. If I could do it, you can too." Leonardo, moved by these words, struggled to control his emotions. The initial shock gave way to deep reflection on his own behavior and past attitudes. He stood up, his eyes moist, and extended his hand to Gustavo. "I didn't know. I had no idea how much you had worked and how much you had achieved. Congratulations, Gustavo. I am truly impressed." The handshake between the two brothers was more than a gesture of courtesy. It was an acknowledgement of growth and change, a bridge over the chasm created by scorn and misunderstanding. Gustavo's revelation not only showed Leonardo his brother's success, but also opened the door to new understanding and a possible fresh start in their relationship. As the night advanced and the conversation continued, the two brothers were more connected than ever. Leonardo now saw Gustavo in a new light, and Gustavo, in turn, was satisfied with having shared his journey so openly and honestly. The revelation not only marked a moment of recognition, but also signaled a new chapter in the lives of the two brothers, where respect and admiration could finally replace scorn and prejudice. The afternoon was turning into evening when Leonardo left Gustavo's house. The seemingly simple event had caused a profound transformation within him. On the way back to his own home, Leonardo's mind was a whirlwind of thoughts and emotions. He was immersed in deep reflection on everything he had seen and heard. What had begun as a cordial meeting had turned into a revelatory experience. The image of Gustavo, a figure once seen only as a poorer, undervalued brother, was now etched in his mind in a completely new way. Leonardo was beginning to understand the magnitude of what Gustavo had achieved and, more importantly, the impact of his own past actions. When he got home, Leonardo sat in a comfortable chair, but physical comfort could not erase the emotional discomfort he felt. The contrast between his life and Gustavo's was sharper than ever. Leonardo had spent most of the past year immersed in his world of success and opulence, but now he was confronted with a harsh truth: his own arrogance and lack of empathy. He remembered Gustavo's words and stories clearly. Each detail of his brother's journey unfolded in his mind like a vivid image. The sleepless nights, the challenges faced, the relentless effort to transform his life. All this now seemed not only inspiring but also a painful reminder of his own behavior. Leonardo thought about the way he had mocked Gustavo, how he had ignored and belittled his brother's struggle and determination. He felt a wave of shame as he recalled the moments when, with a smirk of disdain, he had made sarcastic comments about Gustavo's financial situation and lifestyle. He had seen his brother as a joke, an inferior person, not knowing how much he was about to change. Leonardo's mind was full of regret. He realized that instead of offering support and understanding, he had fueled Gustavo's pain with his indifference and mockery. Gustavo's words about perseverance, dignity, and transformation were a painful revelation but also a call for self-assessment. The phone rang, interrupting his thoughts. It was a message from Gustavo, who had sent a simple, "I hope you got home safely. If you need to talk, I'm here." These words, seemingly banal, were loaded with deep meaning. Gustavo was offering a chance for reconciliation, a bridge over the chasm created by scorn and lack of understanding. With a heavy heart and a resolute mind, Leonardo decided he needed to make amends. The next day he called Gustavo, his voice filled with sincerity. "Gustavo, I need to apologize, not only for how I treated you in the past, but for not recognizing how much you fought and achieved. I was blinded by my own arrogance and didn't see how strong and determined you were." Gustavo listened in silence, and Leonardo's response was a mix of humility and honesty. "I see now that I was a fool. You transformed your life in a way I could never have imagined, and I'm deeply sorry for not seeing that before. I want to understand more about your journey, learn from you, and if you'll allow me, reconnect as brothers." The conversation was a moment of true understanding and openness. Gustavo, with a gentle and understanding tone, replied, "Leonardo, I appreciate your sincerity and your regret. We all make mistakes and learn from them. What matters is how we choose to move forward. I am here for you, and I believe we can build a new foundation for our relationship." Leonardo felt a deep relief upon hearing those words. The reconciliation was not immediate, but it was an important step towards healing the wounds of the past. From that moment on, Leonardo made a conscious effort to support Gustavo and recognize his achievements. He began to participate more actively in his brother's life, offering help and encouragement in his projects and community involvement. Leonardo's recognition and regret were not just about words, but about concrete actions. He began to get involved in causes that were important to Gustavo, helping with charity events and supporting initiatives that promoted the well-being of others. Over time, the relationship between the brothers began to strengthen, and the old animosity gave way to a new understanding and mutual respect. The journey of reconciliation between Leonardo and Gustavo was a powerful example of how regret and recognition can transform relationships and lives. In the end, the two brothers found a new way to connect, not just as family but as allies and supporters, learning from each other and growing together. The lesson learned: respect, determination, and overcoming. The sun was beginning to set on the horizon, casting a golden glow over the city, as Leonardo and Gustavo met in a cozy cafe. Far from the spotlight and the turmoil of the past, the atmosphere was calm, with the smell of fresh coffee mixed with the soft sound of conversations around. It was a peaceful setting, perfect for reflecting on the journey they had traveled. The story of the two brothers, marked by ups and downs, became a valuable lesson for all who heard it. Gustavo's transformation, and the subsequent journey of reconciliation with Leonardo, not only altered the course of their lives but also brought important lessons about respect, determination, and the ability to overcome adversity. Respect and understanding. Before his journey, Leonardo had seen Gustavo as someone beneath his own social stature, someone he could look down upon without consequence. However, life has a peculiar way of revealing the truth and teaching important lessons. Gustavo's transformation was a powerful reminder that no one should be judged by their current state. Every person has the potential to rise and transform their life in ways that may surprise even those who most doubted them. The respect that Leonardo learned to have for Gustavo was not just a superficial change. It was a profound reassessment of how he viewed and treated the people around him. He understood that every individual, regardless of their circumstances, deserves dignity and support. This new understanding shaped not only his relationship with Gustavo, but also his interactions with others in his life, both personal and professional. Determination and overcoming. Gustavo's determination to overcome his difficulties was a driving force in his journey. He faced lonely nights and days of struggle, but he never allowed the difficulties to define him. His story was living proof that, with effort and perseverance, it is possible to turn adversity into success. Gustavo not only improved his financial situation, but also became an inspiration to many around him. The lesson here was clear. True strength lies in the ability to face challenges with courage and determination. For Gustavo, each obstacle was an opportunity for growth. He turned his pain and frustration into fuel for success, showing that overcoming is a personal and unique journey for each of us. The evolution of the relationship between the brothers. After the reconciliation, the relationship between Leonardo and Gustavo underwent a profound transformation. The shared experience brought a new layer of understanding and respect between them. Leonardo began to appreciate not only Gustavo's achievements but also the resilience and courage that brought him there. Gustavo, in turn, found a new kind of support in his brother. The relationship evolved from a mere blood bond to a true partnership, where both learned and grew together. Leonardo became an active supporter of Gustavo's initiatives, while Gustavo offered Leonardo a more humble and enriching perspective on life. The lasting impact of this experience was evident in their lives. Leonardo became an advocate of the importance of looking beyond appearances and treating everyone with respect and dignity. Gustavo, on the other hand, used his story to inspire others to fight for their dreams and never give up, regardless of the difficulties. Final reflection. The moral of the brothers' story is a powerful reminder that life is made of opportunities to learn and grow. Respect, determination, and the ability to overcome adversity are the pillars that sustain anyone's journey. The lessons that Leonardo and Gustavo learned and shared are not just about their individual lives, but about the capacity of all of us to face challenges, support each other, and find strength in adversity. As the sun disappeared behind the horizon, Leonardo and Gustavo toasted to a new phase in their lives. They knew that the road ahead would be full of new challenges and opportunities, but they were ready to face them together, with a deeper understanding of what it truly means to grow and change. This story remains an inspiring example of how life can surprise and teach valuable lessons, reinforcing that, regardless of adversity, respect and determination will always pave the way for a better future.